Well, 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 here we are again. It's the last show. I'm Sab in Paris. We're doing the last Facebook Live, number 9, photo analysis. I look something like this. No, I don't. Yes, I do. And there we are. I look something like this. And it's the last day. This has been a marathon. It's been a marathon of 9 days, 9 days of photo analysis and me telling you about my masterclass. Yesterday I had a special guest. I had my son Leo with me. Today I'm all on my own, just me and Lady Eiffel and my London mug and everything. So I hope you like the show. The heart of it, probably about 40 to 50 minutes, will be me talking about your photographs and some of mine. I try to look at them in a very positive way. The fact that you've taken photographs is great. And then we look at ways in which you could do something differently in case you think that that's better. And that's based on my experience of many years of having cameras in my hands. And these days, most of the time, a smartphone. But still the same principles apply. Before that, I'm just going to have a chat about something else. And at the end of the session, for the last 10 minutes, I will tell you about my masterclass, which is starting on Monday. And you can join. You still get the early bird price. You still get the bonuses. And it'll be great. So I hope you do. But I wanted to talk about, for very, very briefly, like 3 or 4 minutes, I wanted to talk about action and consistency. And I'm in the creative field. I mean, that's how I'm kind of trying to position myself, talk about creativity, use the word creativity all the time. Creativity isn't really a thing, you know, like there's creativity, there's productivity, there's being artistic, there's being a software engineer. It's not really a thing as such, but it might help people to know what I kind of go on about most of the time. And being creative is great. We think of it as, you know, artistic, and maybe writers are creative. You think about getting lots of creative ideas, letting them come in. And the other side of it is letting them out. Once they've come in, we've got to let them out in a new form. A form normally in which other people can appreciate. We create something that didn't exist before and we share it. That's kind of how I see creativity. And action and consistency are really, really important, because if you don't take action on your creative ideas, you won't create anything. So you're just a dreamer. You can be a beautiful dreamer, but you're still a dreamer. And if you don't do it regularly, you won't normally. Sometimes we can have a creative burst and create one thing, but to get really good at something, to get that amazing satisfaction of, and even being known for being someone who does something very good, that takes consistency day after day. And I was thinking about this. It's always been a struggle for me, but in the last little while, I've got more and more consistent. I've been producing a photograph, publishing. So in other words, having the idea and producing it, a photograph of Paris, an artistic photograph. So it's one I've spent time on. I didn't just click and publish. And a text. And of course, a text. Someone is just telling me that I am live. That's nice. Thank you. Oh, someone has just liked this. Thank you, Jen. That's wonderful. I'm going to close that. And I'm just going to, yeah, let me just go on for one more second. Oh, my screen's doing all sorts of things now. You see, I get perturbed. Anyway, now I'm talking to myself on the other screen. Bye, Sab. I've realized that I'm getting more and more consistent. In other words, I'm able to take action and I'm able to produce regularly in small steps. And you know what? I mean, today I published photograph of Paris and text number 770, something like that, in a row, like 770 days in a row, which is no small feat. I'm not saying it to boast. I'm saying it because I'm absolutely mind blown that I've actually managed to stick with something that long. So this is the second bit of creativity. It's having the ideas and then realizing them, because that's where the true satisfaction comes. And sometimes it hurts because you have to force yourself to do it, or something else, which I can't remember. It's tricky for creative people with lots of ideas to stick to one thing for a long time. it's frustrating, you know. As soon as I've seen I can do something a bit, I'll go on in another direction. But then you feel that you're doing nothing very well. So I just wanted to say that that's part and parcel of creativity for me: action and consistency. And that's something that runs through everything I do and everything I teach, everything I talk to with others on the theme of creativity. But I was also thinking that creativity, it could easily be spirituality. It could easily be life, the universe, and everything. For me, that word creativity, it's just a handy word that I kind of like, but it goes as deep as you like. That'll do for now. Let's move on to the photo critiques, and it's going to be fun. I've got so many. You've sent me so many. It's going to be really difficult to fit them all in, but I'm going to have a go. Got some comments already. So 𝗪𝗫𝗺 says, hello. Yaruska says, hello. Bonjour Sab, je suis à un repas avec la famille, mais je regarde ta vidéo. Wow, this is in Peru. So I'm interrupting a meal in Peru. Ha! That's pretty cool, with my blah blah. I hope she's got... Anyway, I won't even go there. I don't even want to think about that. And if you do want to... So the housekeeping is, if you do want to comment and you want me to see your comments, go to facebook.com/𝗪𝗺, and when you comment, I will see your comments and I can put them on the screen. And if you want me to see who you are, you need to go to streamyard.com/Facebook and just say yes, accept. You accept that I can see your name on the screen. All right, so that's that. And now let's go into the mega photo analysis for today. I did 9 times 9 photographs, but I've realized that I'm squeezing more in, so I'm going to call it 100. It's going to be a bonus. Get rid of all the marketing stuff about the masterclass. Just these photo appreciations and analysis is going to be a bonus for the masterclass people. And there's going to be about 100 of them in the end, you know, literally looking at 100 photographs. Let's do that now. Where are we? So that's not what I wanted to show you, actually. Yeah, all right, I'll go into this and then we'll look at the rest later. That's the photograph of the last day of this challenge. And it's mine. And it's a great example of a very, very striking composition. It's in Paris, of course, and I was walking down the road and there's these bike stands, and they used to be boring grey, I think, or some sort of muddy green, and they got rid of them and they kind of opened the market up, and the new ones have got bright orangey red tires, as you can see. Put them in a row, do something fancy with them, and you've got a really strong photograph. I mean, even if I do say so myself, I really think this is a strong photograph. How do you make it strong? Well, can you guess what I did? I'm going to stir my coffee while you're guessing. What makes this photograph particularly striking? Well, for me, it's making the subject big, throwing in an angle, getting rid of stuff, that extraneous stuff. The interest is the wheels, and the row of wheels is the second bit. You know, first, the wheel itself is pretty striking. Have a row of them, doubly striking. Put in an impressive composition, triply striking. So I went down low and got close up to the nearest wheel. I put it in the bottom left of the frame. I had the wheels going off into the top right. And that's it, you know. I mean, I thought I just threw my coffee all over the floor. It was Lady Eiffel. And that's it. And yet, what more do you need? You know, you can see it's a bike. You can see there's some other people up in the top left, but that's not the subject. There's not much getting in the way of this striking composition. And it's a town, you know, you have cigarette butts and stuff, but it's a lot more striking than your average shot of, oh, look, there's some bikes, click. Now I'm going to move on to 2 of your photographs. Karen says, nice repetition. Thanks. Yeah, look for repetition. It's a very, very strong compositional element. And of course, in the masterclass, there is a 3-week core module on composition. Now let's look at Dorothy's. Right, I'm going to go kind of fast because I want to cover more than just 6 of your pictures and honor everybody who contributed. Thank you so much for contributing. Without you, I would be talking to a blank screen. And Dorothy says, how do you crop or make this picture more interesting? So I had to look at it for a while to see what I thought of it. I wasn't sure. First I thought, okay, there's a bird in the middle. It's quite a nice bird shape, because some bird shapes, it's just a black blob. No, it's a bird shape with wings and everything. And I mean, a bird in a photograph, if it's a bird, especially a silhouette, it should be a silhouette. This might sound a bit silly, but it should be a silhouette that actually looks like a bird, not just a blob. And if you notice in a lot of pictures, all you have to do is a kind of W, and it looks like a bird because it's the 2 wings. So it does look like a bird. Then you've got this line at the bottom and the diagonal 2 lines at the top. Now I thought that was quite nice because it's very simple. It's a very simple picture. There's not much, is there? There's a line here with a bush, 2 lines here and a bird. But aha, I looked a little bit closer and I saw that this cloud looks like a heart, which is very nice. So now I have a problem. I mean, I can bump the contrast up a bit with the only thing I know how to do. It probably isn't going to work. This isn't because I think this is how you should modify it. It's just so that you can see the heart more clearly. That doesn't really work, does it? Or if in the fly. Right, so at least you can see the heart more clearly, but you know, that's not precise. That's nothing. Now the thing is, the lines are actually quite good. They give a bottom and a right frame, and on the right there's a frame behind the bird, but there isn't a frame. There's nothing in front of the bird's nose, which is good because the bird is free. Imagine if the bird were heading towards those 2 lines. That would be kind of not very nice. But no, it's flying out. It's almost flying out of these lines into freedom with a heart underneath it. So I'm kind of loath to get rid of the lines. They really add something to it. And can you imagine if it didn't have the lines? It would be kind of an empty picture, unless you went crazy on the heart, you know, and really bumped up the colors. So I wouldn't do much on this, actually. You could crop slightly, I suppose. But what would you get rid of? Would you get rid of the, you get rid of a little bit of this. As soon as you start getting rid of the blank sky, though, you start getting rid of the lines. You don't want to touch the heart too much. You don't want to bring this down too far close to the bird because it's like putting it in a cage. The edge of the picture will be like a cage for the bird. And as soon as you crop as well, you start losing the lines, which is a shame. So I guess you could kind of crop there. Cropped, isn't it? You know, so to be honest, I haven't really changed much at all, have I? So no, I wouldn't do much with that. You might want to throw in some funky colors. Change. What did I do yesterday to get some colors here? It was something about colorize, was it? Color balance. Color balance. Yeah, that allowed me to play around with the colors a bit, which you can do with a very graphic shape like this, where people aren't really going to object. Like I said yesterday, the dog, if you turn the dog purple, they might object, but it's such a pure image that anyway, you see what I've got to say about that. Not too much intelligent stuff to say about that, because it's quite nice as it is. We could go into other things like getting the exposure light right, and it actually is very fuzzy. If you look at it, it's a very fuzzy picture. That's another topic for another day. The masterclass, for example. Now here's one so thanks for that, Dorothy. And here's one from Jackie. And Jackie, it's the same question on another picture, but I haven't looked at this one. And she says, should I mess around with filters? Should you mess about with filters? So she's got a picture of a dog. I'm kind of assuming it's her dog, and a beautiful sunset. And should you mess around with filters? They're kind of 2 different questions, because if I talk about the picture of the dog, how to make the dog look as nice as possible and inject some sort of emotion in there, I'm not really talking about filters. because filters would be more with the sunset. What would you do with the sunset? Would you use a filter to make it stronger, to stand out more? Or would you let it be and just say, you know, that's nature's colors. I'm not going to make them look artificial just to look like some sort of meme or something. So it's a kind of a mixed thing. The dog is lovely. To make anyone more striking, kind of separate them from the background if possible. He kind of merges into the ground and the beam, the thing on the bottom. If you squatted down, the dog's head would then move into that rectangular section. It would be in there and probably be more impressive. You could really squat down a lot and get the horizon and the sunset through that bit in the fence, but that might be a bit strange, but it might not, I don't know. In terms of filters on sunsets and things, you can, of course, you can make artificial sunsets. You can get a filter which is orange, graded orange down to the horizon level and then something else below. And, you know, it could be fun, but you know that it's not really like that. And there's a certain dissatisfaction when you're trying to enhance nature or make it look better than it really was. It's kind of a bit fake, you know. It's like, so yeah. Anyway, so it's also very low resolution. I'm not sure why. That's something that we could talk about. You see, we're talking a handful of pixels for the whole dog. So I'm not sure why. It might be just that you uploaded a lower resolution version by either mistake or by default. I don't know. But that I'm convinced that the original would have far more pixels, and you'd be able to play around with it much more. Finally, with sunsets, you've normally got a very bright sky, which automatically throws the foreground, makes it darker. It looks like it's not too dark, but sometimes it can be silhouette-y. Silhouettes can be great, but if it's neither here nor there, half silhouette, so not quite a silhouette, but not quite bright enough to be able to see the people or the faces, you're kind of in no man's land. So I would, for example, this would be probably much more stronger photograph, more symbolic, if literally the dog was a silhouette, like black, against the sunset, looking away, but you still see the edge of his face, not just the back of his head. That's not very dog-like, because the dogs have snouts. So he's looking enigmatically into the sunset, the way dogs do, you know, contemplating life, the universe, and where he's going to get his next bone from, or chase the next cat, if he's ever going to catch next door neighbor's cat. So make sure the silhouette is a dog-like silhouette. And it would actually could be stronger, because then you can focus on the beauty of the sunset and and not worry about getting some detail in the dog. Okay, the dog's going to go black. The dog's going to be a silhouette. Great, because then the sunset can be beautifully exposed with all those rich colors and gradients. And the dog's silhouette is more striking than the dog normal colored, actually. You know, it's much more enigmatic. Right, so that's that for the dog. Now I'm going to give you feel free to comment. Yeah, sometimes I see comments and sometimes I don't. If you want me to see your comments, you've got to do it here. Unless you're on YouTube, you've got to do it on facebook.com/𝗪𝗵𝗪𝗺. If you're watching somewhere else, like in the creative smartphone photography group, go to my page /𝗪𝗵𝗪𝗺, and when you leave a comment, then I can see who you are, or at least I can see the comment. And yeah. Right, now I'm going to show you another of mine. In fact, I'm going to show you two for the price of one. This is one that I'm fond of. Quite recent, actually. It's a good example of framing and repetition of subject. Now, what's interesting is it's both repetition in the background, because there's a grid of about 20 of the same poster with the word Céline. And that's a nice background, a repetitive background. I mean, you've got to admit, it's better than the repetitive background of Grandma's ducks or paisley patterns. This is pure street photography, and there's a much more significant, or a doubly pleasing repetition, in that there happens to be a woman walking past in black, looking down, with glasses on. The only thing that's different, and she's looking, her head is the same angle as the woman in the posters. The only difference is she's got shock blonde hair, and the woman in the poster's got black hair. At least it's black and white photograph, so it looks black. And but that's fine, you know. If the woman walking past also had black hair, you could kind of say amazing, but you'd also lose her as the subject. That shock of blonde hair makes her stand out, and yet she's all in black. She's looking down in the same direction as all those repetitive women in the posters are looking down. There's more space to where she's going than behind her, which is generally good. There's amazing texture on the wall. Look at this texture, it's gorgeous. And you know, in the middle of Paris, this so-called, you know, this wonderful glamorous town, you've got scruffy walls like this. You really have. It's a street photographer's and a graffiti artist's paradise. This is called guerrilla marketing, what they've done here. And then to fill in that gap on the left, you've got a lovely red post, which I like. It's the only red thing really, but it doesn't make me want to look at the red thing more than anything else. I don't think the red thing is the subject, but it is rather pleasing to have filled in that gap. Otherwise it would be a little bit boring. As a good photograph, it would still be a little bit boring. You know, the red thing does give it a punch. Now, 𝗪𝗺𝗺 says, I like this picture of the blonde woman. Quiet colors. Okay, that's interesting. Quiet colors. Well, the softer colors, yeah, they're not too punchy except for the red. So yeah, it's been toned down, hasn't it? It's not. I mean, it's a punchy photograph in a way. It's quite contrasty, but it's not, you know, loads of amazing, ridiculously saturated colors. I don't always do that. Right, keep the comments coming in. You know, it keeps me awake. And maybe keep you awake as well. So I'm going to do something a little different here. I'm going to show you a second photograph of mine, because this one reminded me of another one. Spot the difference or spot the similarities. So this one from a few months ago, obviously pure chance. None of my photographs are posed. They're all me. I was there and I took this photograph. That's all it is. So if you look at this detail here, isn't that pretty cool? If you look closely, the woman's face looks the same. Her mouth is open exactly the same way as the picture of Cleopatra behind. Her hair is, you know, very similar. She's looking down and, well, that's it. But isn't it amazing? You know, it was, I mean, she could have been slightly differently posed, but the fact is I got this woman looking almost identical on her head and her hair and her expression to the graffiti behind. And that sort of thing, whoops, is possible, but only if you're ready for it. And only if you take a lot of shots. I mean, you've got to be really ready. I didn't know this was going to happen. So I was ready for something that I didn't know was going to happen. And of course, it's not perfect. You know, maybe I would have liked her a little bit to the left, but you know, come on. I got this photograph instead of not get it. That is what counts. And if you're doing that often enough, if you're, you know, you're a street photographer or you're an enthusiast, you've always got your smartphone with you, but you've always got it ready as well. Things will happen. And if you're ready, you will capture some of them, and your friends won't, and your family won't. And you might be seen as a weirdo who's always got their camera, you know, ready, but at least you'll get shots that nobody else does. All right. Wow. Yes, the two women are almost identical. It's really amazing. I mean, I was as surprised as, I mean, I saw her coming and I thought, oh, I hope I can get this. But I wasn't thinking, oh, wow, she's really identical. I really hope I can get them. I didn't know she was going to be identical and have the same expression. You can't know. But I took the photograph in case something happened. Very often you see something amazing afterwards. Like maybe that cloud photograph, you know, I don't know. But maybe whoever it was saw the cloud as a heart afterwards. It's really possible because that happens a lot. I think only you can capture that. I don't know if you mean if that's a compliment or something. I mean, the more you photograph, the more amazing photographs you'll get. That's, you know, apart from anything else. And She says, why didn't you crop this photo to include less information? If you're talking about this one I wouldn't, because it's a lovely big block and it would be a shame to crop it, and I like the red. This one here, yeah, I could have done, but the thing is, she, the real woman, and the graffiti are very much above each other. So that's not a perfect composition. So if I cropped it, it would kind of gone a bit weird, I think. Plus, I would have lost the sense of place. We're in Paris here. We're in a street. So if I had cropped, say I'd cropped it like this. You know, let's focus on the woman and the two women looking similar. All right, just randomly crop it like this. You see what's happened? It's not very pleasing in terms of composition. You've got one woman on top of the other in the middle of the photograph. Okay, I could have moved it slightly, but you see what I mean? It doesn't please me. So I wanted to weigh that against the fact that she was in Paris and I was in Paris. So maybe I could have cropped it, and maybe the photograph would be stronger. For whatever reason, I didn't. And you know, you've got to try. You got to try. You see the bench, there's a Paris bench, there's a Paris lamppost. There's some guy, I don't know if the guy is good or not, you know, he gives a sense of place. And I like the fact you can see that it's Paris, you know, little elements of Paris. So I'm not trying to justify it, because I could easily, for any photograph, you can crop it in an infinite number of ways. So at some point, you've just got to say, I'm going with this. Knowing full well that there are other ways to crop. Of course there are. 𝗪𝗺𝗺 says, it's a compliment, Seb. Oh, thank you, thank you. The Cleopatra photo cropping, yeah, thanks, yeah. Yeah, there's an infinite number of ways of cropping. And you choose the one that you like. And sometimes you have to make a choice that hurts, because you don't know if you prefer that one really, but you got to do that. Now here's a photograph from 𝗎𝗏. And she says, well, it's any suggestions about the composition, she says again. And I can't really say much about this photograph, but I can say something about child photography in general. Child photography in general, especially parents. You know, parents have got young kids. Sometimes they're not doing too much. They're just sitting watching their kid playing. It's an ideal opportunity to get some lovely shots of the kids. The kids are being natural, and you haven't got anything else to do, and there you go. The only problem is kids move all the time, and they don't understand what you're trying to do. And also, if you do manage to stop them and get them to smile at you, they hate you, or they give you a horrible cheesy grin, which is so fake. You know, it's not about them being kids. So again, try and take a lot of photographs. Be close to them. The one thing, I'll just give you one tip. You know, child photography is a huge thing. I'll give you one thing that I think is important for child photography. If it's a picture of the child, make it a picture of the child and a detail of what they're doing. Okay, I mean, the child, what is it, the child? Well, normally it's the face. You know, the face could literally be this big, like a quarter of the photograph could be the face, with a hand on the red plastic thing and a smile, you know, a happy smile. That's all you need. Because what you've got here is I would like the photograph, a child's photograph that is really strong. For a start, you need to see the child's face, probably. And secondly, I would make the photograph about this big. I mean, in terms of where you've got the stuff. Obviously, this is you know, no good. But in terms of how big the child should be in the photograph, well, no smaller than this. If it's your kid, you want to see the kid and something about what they're doing. Okay, if they're on a climbing frame, you can have their hands on the bar as they're upside down. But you know, they take up the entire photograph, because everything else in this photograph, apart from this, isn't necessary. Okay, so ask yourself the question, is anything else here outside of this rectangle, this square here, necessary? Okay, maybe you want, maybe you could have a bit of, if it's a birthday party, you might want a little bit of the birthday things, you see. You might want to see the rocking horse or whatever it is, but not much more. Not much more than that. Obviously, all of this isn't doing much. It's not really necessary. This bit behind isn't really necessary. The kid isn't really looking at something amazing. It's not, you can't see the kid's expression. So there's a few ideas. So thanks for sending that one in. Like I said, child photography is a huge subject, and you can't just, one photograph. We can't talk about all of child photography based on one snap. Okay, let's now Karen. Karen sent in this one. And she said, if you wanted a photo, oh no, that's not it. Where am I? Oh, this is Iskra. I think this is Iskra again. Again, suggestions about composition. And I wanted to say, I like the fact that the horizon is way down. You can also have the horizon way up, but way down is good, especially when the sky is dramatic. And make sure it is a dramatic sky, otherwise there's not much reason for making it so much sky. But if the sky is dramatic, great. The sky almost becomes the subject. You see, I'm trying to do things with the colors, but it's not working. Trying to make the sky a bit more dramatic. Then you start to lose detail in the foreground. So it's not bad. It's quite nice. I'm looking for the subject. Normally you need a subject. I mean, more precise than the landscape. The subject is a thing in the image, and then what's around it is the background. But here there isn't a subject other than the whole photograph. So it's missing something if you want it to be more than just a snap of what you were looking at. And but as I said, I love the sliver of land at the bottom and the big impressive sky. That's great. And you can see the hills getting paler as they go into the distance. This gives a nice sense of depth. You've got something in the foreground which also has a bit of a dip. It goes like this. That's quite interesting. For what it is, it's not very interesting. It's not like a tree lying on its side that's been struck by lightning interesting, but it's better than nothing. It's better than just a bit more field. And it's got this dip in it. You see, it goes like that. So it's kind of interesting, but yeah, we're looking for a subject here. I can't really see what it is. Yeah. Okay, so thanks for that. Obviously, this is something, in more detailed analysis and in the masterclass, of course, we can go into great detail on this sort of thing. Now, here's another one from, this one is from Karen. And Karen said, it's a picture of, I think she does taekwondo or aikido or something that ends in O. And she says, if you wanted Tai Chi, maybe it's Tai Chi Chuan or something like this. If you wanted a photo of an instructor explaining something to his class, do you think there may be a better place to stand? Great question. Isn't that interesting? I mean, what do I know about taking pictures of martial arts classes? Having said that, okay, you've got the guy, you're looking at him from behind, and he's surrounded by his, whatever you call them, students or, trainees or whatever. So that's okay, that's quite nice. And you want to show the relationship between the master and the students. You're kind of showing the relationship, but what I'm thinking could be stronger is if you make something much bigger than something else. He's a bit smaller. He's a bit smaller than these guys here, but he's bigger than these guys. So he's kind of in the middle. He's in the mid. I'm just going to make one suggestion. If you went behind these two and you shot through to him, maybe he's giving an instruction. So he's in profile. He's like this. And the frame that this seems to be missing for me, the frame is the shoulders and the heads of the two guys that you're shooting through. So you could go behind these two guys, shoot through them, and the frame of the photograph is their head and their shoulders like this. If you're looking at me, not at the photo. Okay, the heads come in like this and frame the two sides of the photo. Their shoulders go even wider, and in the V of that is the master. And if you could somehow manage to make them fuzzy and him sharp, even better. You can do that with smartphones. If you got really close in and you tap on him, he could be sharp, and you might be lucky, and they will be a bit fuzzy. So you see what I'm trying to get at. Look for framing, because there's no framing really. You can't really say he's framed by his students. He kind of is, but it's an interesting shot, but it is kind of a record shot. This is my Tai Chi class or whatever it is. It's not really an artistic shot. Shoot through two people who serve as a frame. Two of the students at the master, they are paying great attention to the master, who is capture him in some significant pose, or expression. And then you've got this relationship, between the students, the master, and so on. So that would be my suggestion for that. And again, obviously, that's one suggestion. There's an infinite number of suggestions. Now I'm going to move on to how are we doing? 36 minutes. Okay. Okay. We've got Karen. Hi, Karen. How nice to have you. And I'm talking about your photograph. I hope I didn't say anything horrible. I taught Tai Chi, but I own a karate club. So it's karate, I think. Wonderful. Karate doesn't end in O. Are you sure it's a martial art? It's my sense of humor. Don't worry about me. Right, now I'm going to move on to my last photograph, theoretically, but I couldn't resist. I'm going to show you three. All right, so here's one. This is nuts. This is crazy. This is wandering around Paris and keeping my eyes open. Can you see what it is? And yes, it really is what you think it is. Paris. My Paris. Even though it's well known for its tourist monuments and all the tourists and everything. I think it's the most visited tourist attraction in the world, stuff. Aikido. Karen says Aikido in this class. There you are. Aikido, which does end in O, you see? Told you. Wandering around, you can still see these weird boutiques with really unusual stuff in them. This is a little boutique which has its windows stacked up with books and pigs. Yeah, and what more could a street photographer want? And that's the photograph. So I don't really have that much to say about it. I mean, I could go into why I did it, how I took it, and all the rest, but isn't that just so so ridiculously cool? I love it. I love pigs, and I love books for that matter. I love the composition. I love the angles. I love the expression on the pigs' faces. I don't know what the expression on this pig's face is. This reminded me of a game that I play sometimes. It's called Pass the Pig. I don't know if you know it. You've got these two pigs. You throw them, and they land in strange positions. And the text that went with this was a text with every one of my photographs. I did mention that game. And I wanted to give you two more for the price of one. This is a sculpture, and it's near Saint-Lazare station. There's two of them. One is a sculpture of these incredible clocks. I mean, it's way above my head. Huge clocks. Each clock is like this big at least, probably. There's small ones and there's big ones. That's the great thing. They're stuck together. It's wild. It's Paris. And on the other side of the station, it's suitcases. I don't know how they've done it because they're made of metal or bronze. But if you look at them, you can see every single stitch on the suitcase. So, wonderful, wonderful. And so one great photographic technique is to zoom in. If the subject is the clocks, don't have anything except the clocks. If the subject here was the pigs in the window and the books, in between the books, don't have anything else. Don't let anything else get in the way of the subject. It'll dilute it. And that's a huge mistake that people make when they're trying to make striking photographs. You don't even know what the subject is. It's so small. So, it's pretty clear what the subject is there. And where's the little, the little extra, the little plus? Well, there's a real clock behind, and I've squeezed it in to a space in between the sculpture clocks. And finally, this one, I couldn't resist showing you this one. Don't think I've shown you this. This is right up to date. This is like a couple of weeks ago. Sometimes trolling through the archives can get a little bit like I feel I'm living in the past. So this is a recent trip to Montmartre. I was wandering around, and guess where these are? Guess what sidewalk or pavement or trottoir these are on? I've done this as a kind of quiz, and people don't always get it. And I say, okay, well, look at the color. It's red. And do you know anywhere famous in Paris that has something to do with red? And they eventually arrive at the idea of it being the Red Windmill, otherwise known as the Moulin Rouge. And they're in front of the sidewalk next to the Moulin Rouge. I don't think they're actually right up in front of it, but they're very, very close. So isn't this quite similar to this? So once you've got a technique, and there's a lot of techniques, but once you've got a technique, well, you pull it out when you think it would make sense. So, spot the difference. The only difference is really that one of them is bicycle wheels and the other is oversized plant pots. Exactly the same technique, exactly the same composition. In fact, it's the only technique I have. And there you go. I put a person in black there. I played with the colors. I played with the texture. I played with the framing, the cropping. So it's not, it's not, as the French would say, du grand n'importe quoi. It's not any old crap. There's a lot of thought goes into it. But having said that, it's a pretty simple technique. When you see things in a row, go to one end of the row, getting close to the first thing, let the others go off into the distance, throw in a diagonal, bam, you've got a strong shot. Now let's finish with you guys. And wow, I really tried to squeeze in a whole load here. And maybe I can do it. This is 𝗪𝗼𝗄. And 𝗪𝗼𝗄, hey! 𝗪𝗼𝗄 is watching, says she's watching whilst at a family dinner. So I'm going to see if she's paying attention. This is just one of the worst photographs I've ever seen. This is crap. Let's face it. Did you hear me? Did you hear me? I'm joking. So this is, she says, do you think I should cut the photo so that the black birds can be seen with the black car? Or do I leave it with the people in white and the clear car? All right, good question, very good question. And it's something everybody should ask themselves about every photograph. What's necessary for this to be a strong photograph? What's the subject? If there's something else I could keep in, does it add to the photograph? Does it add to the main subject, or does it detract? Detract can include moving your attention away. And what's cute about this photograph, I would say, is the bird, the big bird being followed by the little bird in black towards the black car. Maybe it's their car. So I'm going to crop it. You don't even need all of the car. Not even that's necessary. You know it's a black car. So let's focus even more on the birds. The funny thing is the birds, that's cute, going towards a black car. That's the story, I would say. And it makes you think maybe it's their car. If I go a bit higher, I've got a bit of greenery in the top left. Maybe it's nice to frame the shot. If I go too high, then it's too much. Okay, let's try that. Yeah, it's quite fun. It is a bit tight, isn't it? It's a bit tight. And there's only one thing is a little bit of a shame, and that's that you kind of lose the bird's head in the shadow of the tire and stuff and the car. Remember I was talking earlier about like making a dog, even if it's a silhouette of a dog, make sure like the dog's head is turned so you can see its nose. And it's similar here, you know, a bird, we want birds to have round, small things at the top with a pointy bit. So, you know, this one is good because you can see the head's turned maybe towards its mum. There's an emotional connection there. And, you know, you see the edge of the bird's head. In this one, he's kind of, the head is away from us and it's getting lost in the shadow of the part of the tire. I mean, you can't do anything. This is what she saw and she got the shot. That's the main thing. That's the main thing. Now we're looking at details. So personally, I would get rid of the rest and just have the bird. You can even go, you know, even go closer. If the subject really is the bird, the two birds going towards a black car, the symbol of the car there, it looks like a horse. Is it? I don't know what it is, Chrysler or something. Does that add? You know, if it were a bird, you could keep it in. If it's not a bird, you might not want to have it. You could do this. It's getting a bit tight on the bird there, but we're trying to make it just the essential. Okay, so that's actually quite fun, isn't it? It's quite a nice fun shot. This little bird needs a little bit more space on the right, but then you start getting other bits of flashes of yellow, which might detract from, take your eye away. So it's nice, you know, it's really good. Well spotted. Right, Carolyn says, completely enamored by this flower. That sounds like a Carolyn-y type of thing to say. I am just wondering how to enhance the perspective so it comes more alive and more in its space. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by enhance the perspective or have it come alive and more in its space. Not sure what you mean by that. But what can you do with, I mean, to be honest, it's pretty good because it's really huge in the picture. You know, there's no doubt what the subject is. The background is blurred. Lighting, because it's quite strong lighting, and it's quite sharp. So that's not a problem. You know, you could have soft lighting if you wanted it more romantic. It's not the most romantic flower ever, unless well, she says she's enamored by this flower. So maybe I've shattered her dreams there. But it's a gorgeous flower. I mean, is it a flower? This is a flower? That's amazing. Cauliflower flower. There was a whole discussion going on about what do you call it? Is it a cauliflower or is it a cauliflower flower? I like it a lot. If you want to be really, if you're taking a picture of a flower, you know, you might think that's simple. But I mean, look at all the people throughout the ages who have painted bowls of fruit. And it's not just painted any old how, you know. So you can think about composition. You can think about what else is in the picture with the flower. If it's fuzzy, that's fine. But you don't want it so fuzzy that you've lost the context. For example, if there's a bottle of wine behind it, it's not sharp because that would get in the way, that would take attention away from the flower, but it's not so fuzzy you can't see it's a bottle of wine, because then you've lost the atmosphere around the photograph. You can make the background darker somehow. It's beautifully framed in the middle. I'm an utter, what's the word? Anal retentive. I was going to say perfectionist or you know, whatever. I would just remark about the distance between the frame and the left of the flower and the frame and the right of the flower is not quite the same, and it's almost touching on the right and not on the left. I would say either have it absolutely perfectly in the middle or definitely off to one side. There's a kind of hinterland where it's kind of awkward. It's neither one nor the other. And yeah, there's a load of stuff underneath it, isn't there? I don't know what that is, but it's not a beautiful bottle of wine and you know, and some other fruit or something. It's a whole load of a four-letter word beginning with J and ending in K. I don't know what it is, but you might want to get rid of that. Either get rid of it or squat down a little bit so that you haven't got so much stuff on the table, or move off to the side and the background might be less busy, you know, it looks like you. So those are things to think about. Also, there's quite a lot of space above it. Is that good? I think of flowers as being quite long and, you know, tall and high. So what's that space doing above it? Is there any reason why there's as much space above it as below? I'd like to see a bit more stalk, you know, flowers are on high stalks. So a bit more stalk and a bit less sort of space hanging around, not doing anything. I hope you like my comments. I mean, I hope you know that they're absolutely loving comments. They're never, ever nasty comments. That's not what I'm into. You know, I appreciate everyone who sends everything in. But also it's funny to laugh, you know, it's funny to laugh at our attempts, you know, the irony, sometimes the inconsistencies. I mean, you know, no one will laugh more at me than myself. So, you know, do take everything in the best possible thing. All I want is for people to contribute, take more photographs, create more things, and enjoy the process, enjoy hearing me discuss your photographs, you know, out of pure love and appreciation. Anyone who creates, fantastic. And anyone who doesn't, I can help you too. Yaruska is there. Oh my God. Bonjour de ma famille. Yaruska, salut, hello, bonjour, hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Qué tal? ¿Todo va bien en Peru? Great. That's nice, isn't it? Despina says, good night, sir. What? Are you crazy? It's only midnight. Good night, Despina. Thanks a lot for watching. And I can't wait to get started on the masterclass on Monday, right? And a couple more. This one is an amazing one from Alice. She says, this is a view from under the bean, or Cloud Gate in Chicago, reflecting people walking under. Love the reflective properties. Any thoughts about editing? Lighter with more brilliance. It's already got some lovely lighting, hasn't it? It's got this repetition. It's stunning. It's got this repetition of darkness, brightness in the middle and on the left and the right. And then it's, because of its form, whatever that is, I'm not even going to start working out what it is. You've got a dark bit here, then you've got the same thing again with more light bits. You've got another line of darkness with more amazing reflections, more little light bits, another little. It's amazing, wonderful thing, incredible. So yeah, I mean, you could bump the lighting up for sure. Yeah, that would make it more striking. It's a bit like those glass balls, mirror balls in Palais Royal in Paris. There's so much light coming from them because they're reflecting the sky that bam, the whole photo turns a sort of muddy grey. So yeah, I would bump up the contrast and the brightness because it's a little bit, it's not like that. It wasn't like that, I'm sure. I'm sure it was much, much brighter in reality. That makes it darker, but it also gives contrast later. Because if I do this, it goes paler. And then I want to bring some darkness back into it, you see. So that's already looking good, you see. And you can do whatever you like and play around with that. See some of those options? Pretty wild, huh? That's pretty amazing. And so is that. You know, as soon as you decide it's not reality, it's art, do what you like. Okay, and two more. Is it two more? Two more and then we're done. Two more and we're done. All right, two more from Alice. Small children lying in water feature cooling off. Left in reflection, legs of adults behind girls. Should I cut those and emphasize the children's reflections? Oh, right. Okay. So what she's saying is there's reflections of adults above here. Should she keep them in, or should she focus on the girls, the children? Girls, children, girls. Well, what do you think, guys? Get rid of the legs of the people or not? Well, I'm going to make a spontaneous decision and go for this. Who cares about the adults' legs, to be honest? like I was saying earlier in another shot. Like 𝗕𝗔𝗄𝗆's white car, people in white, the other car. Who cares? It's not that amazing, unless there's some amazing contrast between the black car and the white car. Not really. The story was the blackbirds. So here, don't worry about the adults. In fact, try and get rid of them. They always ruin everything, don't they? Ruin children's games. So let's, ta-dam. Yeah, that's nice, isn't it? That's beautiful. Yeah, that's fine. There could be an argument in another type of photograph where the reflections of the adults counted for something, but there's no real interaction between the girls and the adults' reflections, not even suggested. You know, we don't know if they're their parents, they're watching, they're doing something else, they get in the way. What is wonderful here is the girls, beautiful bright colors against this lovely dark background. That's perfect for a start. And then you've got the reflection, which just all the way along this girl here, they've got the two heads reflected and her arm and all the way along her leg and on this foot as well. And even a little bit on this arm here. You know, that is just wonderful. Now crop it so that there's a little bit of space here at the bottom, possibly the same amount of space as there, possibly a bit less or a bit more, you know, depends. A little bit of space behind her heel as well, and a little bit more space on the left, okay? It's because the girls are looking, one of the girls is looking that way. Give her a little bit of space to look into, okay? You don't want the edge of the frame slammed up against her nose. And to emphasize that more space, make the bit behind the heel less. Wonderful, absolutely love it. Beautiful shot. And also, you don't know whose kids they are, so you can publish it without, you know, any problems whatsoever, probably. And this is the last one from Alice. Alice is starting with me on Monday in the masterclass. Cloud wound up in perfect position. Looks like coming out of a pipe. Okay, or more ocean in this picture. And I would say, yeah, it is wonderful, isn't it, that it's coming out of a pipe. If there was any way of you moving to the right, so the smoke, the cloud actually started at the edge of the pipe, that would also be worth trying. So that is fun. That would really be the thing, wouldn't it? It literally starts coming out of the end of the pipe. And yeah, it's a very nice shot, isn't it? Beautifully composed. If you move like I said, there might be some other reason why you wouldn't do that, like something else horrible getting in the way. I appreciate that. You can also move closer to change the perspective between the pipe and the cloud. Instead of moving to the right or left, which can get other stuff in, you can move closer, yeah, or move further away. That changes the perspective between the relationship between the pipe and the thing behind it. But it's gorgeous like that because you've got this very strong silhouette. It's obviously some sort of old nautical thing, I would say. You've got this lovely post in the right, which is less detailed than this. This is more finely detailed, and this is just a post. But it's very complementary because it fills in that boring bottom right. Imagine if you hadn't had that, it would be very unbalanced. So that's great. It's the same color as this interesting thing. You've got a very boring post on the right. You've got an extremely interesting thing on the left, which is beautifully filling that bottom left area. Beautiful angle in contrast to the upright post. And you've got this funny thing with a beautiful landscape and this funny thing with the cloud and a lovely mountain underneath the cloud. And a strip of waves and a couple of boats for good measure. Wonderful, great. I wouldn't really do much to that. What does she say? Would I more ocean in the picture? No, it's fine, isn't it? The only thing maybe it's square composition. Square compositions can sometimes give you like spaces with nothing much happening in them, and that is the case here. All right, all this sea here, there's nothing happening in it. There don't happen to be any boats, but you know, that's life. You can't have everything, can you? And it's a very, very interesting photograph anyway. You can play around with it to see other possibilities. All right, so I'm going to leave it at that for the photographs. That's wonderful. I've got a whole load of photographs in today. I'm very happy. Thank you for watching. Thank you for interacting. And this is the last of 9. If you didn't catch the beginning, at the beginning, I talked a little bit about action and consistency, a bit different from the other Facebook Lives I did in this 9-part series. where I generally introduced the masterclass. I talked about action and consistency. Absolutely vital to produce the things you want to produce, to let the creativity out that you want to come out of you. Action and consistency. I mean, it's a couple of words. There are others. Those are the ones that came to me today, because I was thinking, I've managed to do 9 of these in 9 days with 9 photographs in each. That's no small feat, but it's doable. And now I have 9 new Facebook Lives, which are sitting there. They're solid things. They're over an hour each, you know, it's solid content. And it didn't exist 9 days ago. So that's what I want to help you to do. Produce stuff that didn't exist before, that you're really happy with, and it's not so difficult. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about, I'm going to get rid of this screen, and I'm going to move on to just telling you for the last time in this format about my masterclass. If you know about the masterclass, you can go. I won't be upset or hurt. But if you don't, this is where I will tell you about it. It's starting on Monday. And this really is my life's work in terms of photography, in any case, being put into this. So if you go to this website, which is, where is it? It's this one here. You go to infinitecreativitynow.com. This is going to be the hub for my creative programs and masterclasses going forward. I'm going to have 3. I'm going to have one on photography. It's starting on Monday. I'm going to have one on writing, and it's starting in May, probably the end of May or beginning of June. And I'm going to have one on general creativity. It's focusing more on the techniques of creativity, but you bring your creative project. There is a creative project. You do finish a fantastic creative project at the end of 9 weeks. It's just that I don't know what it is in the creative masterclass. In the photography masterclass that starts on Monday, I know what it is. You're going to come up with a collection of wonderful photographs. In the writing class, you're going to finish the writing masterclass with a collection of wonderful articles or writings or poems. So it's very clear what you're going to get and how it's going to happen. And let me walk you through it. Early bird booking, you click on the pink thing and it goes to the page that tells you everything. And it's a 9-week program, but it's very doable. I mean, it's literally like a short video or possibly a live, which is recorded. You don't have to watch live on the Monday with an assignment, which is basically go and shoot a photograph. Wednesday, the same. Friday, the same. Saturday, probably, or Saturday or Sunday, there will be an opportunity for us to meet live and discuss what we've done in the week, show our photographs, talk about them, and choose the ones we're going to use for the exhibition, for the project. But we do that together. There's no stress. It's more a joy, actually, in building up your collection of wonderful photographs. Every week is a different theme. It's a different theme in what we're learning, and it's a different photography theme. And you're shooting from the word go. Let me go down to the program, just to show you the modules. There's 5 modules. 9 weeks, 5 modules. And you'll see it's not actually 9 weeks. I'll tell you in 1 second. Module 1 is 1 week. And it's the joy of photography. It's why we love photography, why it's so wonderful, why we love images, why we're attracted to images more than text. It's getting into the groove, getting into the mood in a big way. And we start our first week's project, our first week's shooting assignment, because by the end of each week, you will have the certain number of photographs that you've decided is right for you for your exhibition at the end, week by week. You know, you don't fall behind. If you do, we have a break week or a catch-up week. So that's 1 week, module 1. Module 2 is 2 weeks, and it's about the camera, getting very familiar with your camera and the apps. Okay, we're in the modern world. We have apps. Apps are amazing. So is the camera. So we get really familiar with the camera. It's a camera. Okay, it's a smartphone, but it's a camera. It's a wonderful camera. We get familiar with that, and we get familiar with the 2 types of apps that you need. The first app is to correct problems with your photograph. In other words, it's not the way you remember it. Okay, it's not sharp enough, the colors aren't bright enough, they're too bright, that sort of thing. The second type of app is going the artistic route. Okay, adding fun textures, changing the lighting, and that sort of thing. Right, we cover all of that in these 2 weeks. It's wonderful. And then there's a week's break. This is where you see it's relaxed. You're not going to be stressed out on this. You're going to be excited and motivated, but not stressed out. In the week off, after the first 3 weeks, it's either forget the course, go and do something else, or catch up, or consolidate. Go into the topics that interest you more. Work on your portfolio. Do the same pictures in a different style and see which you prefer. It's entirely up to you. Module 3 is 3 weeks. It's the core module. It's in the middle. 3 weeks. It's filling your toolbox of all the techniques and approaches you need to be able to realize the photographs that you imagine. It's about composition. I mean, that's huge. It's about lighting. It's about making sure the subject is the subject of the photograph. It's great. It's the core. And then we have another break week, or a catch-up week, consolidation week, or deepening week, whatever you like. And we can meet during that week. You know, you're not on your own. We can meet, talk together, and talk about photography as well. Then the number of weeks goes down. So module 4 is 2 weeks, and guess what? Module 5 is 1 week. Module 4 is, I would call it the advanced level. If the one before was intermediate and the one before was beginner, it's not really like that. This is the one where I can't really help you to develop your photographer's eye, because it takes time, it takes experience, but I can help you know how to do it. I can't do it for you, but I can help you start to do it, and I can encourage you. This is deep stuff. It's about imagining photographs before you even pick up a camera. It's about putting your emotions and your life's experience into your photographs. They mean something, you know. It's not just a snap. You're not just practicing a compositional technique. You're taking photographs which touch you deeply and express something about you deeply. And it may be that people looking at them will feel that. So this level is the deepest level. It's developing your photographer's eye. And yeah, I mean, it's really going out there and letting ideas come to you. You don't know where they come from, but you're open to them. And then module 5 is the culmination. It's 1 week. It's finishing off your exhibition, giving the exhibition, and celebrating and graduating, getting a nice certificate, that sort of thing. And for the exhibition, it can be as humble and private or personal as you like. It could just be in our group. You present your photographs in their groups and you tell us about them. Or it could be something modest, like in your living room. You know, you could print them, put them on the wall, and have your family around for a meal or a buffet, and you present your photographs. Or you could have your slideshow on your computer screen for your friends or at work. You know, it doesn't matter. Or if you wish, you could print them big and put them on the walls of a gallery that you know, or a cafe, and give a presentation there. So it's entirely up to you, but I want you to finish with something impressive, something you will never forget. And you will realize that from then on, you are a photographer, you're a good one, and you are excited to explore further. And there are bonuses, and the program is based on experientified learning. In other words, everything is incorporated to make you enjoy this course, be motivated, excited, to feel supported. You've got goals, but they're doable, and you are the ones who have set them, okay? But I help you move towards them. There's different goals, okay? So there's like the easy one, there's the normal one, and there's the crazy one. So, you know, you're going to get the first one. It's whether you go for the second or even the third, okay? So, but you will reach your goal. That's, you know, and I will help you to do that. That's part of the guarantee. The guarantee is that I will take you to mission accomplished, which is producing a wonderful set of photographs, better than you ever have before. So there are bonuses, great bonuses, but I'll leave you to look at this page and there's a section where people say that they like working on photography with me, and there's a bit about me, and there are some frequently asked questions, and the very last screen says action, and that's the word I started this whole training with an hour and 10 minutes ago. Action and consistency. If you take action, things will happen. Good things, normally. And even if you wouldn't define them as good things, there are things you can learn from. I don't believe in mistakes or failure. I don't even believe in success. Not really, because that means comparing yourself with others or something else. If you want a definition of success, it's did you do something? Did you try? That is success. You have succeeded. And your photographs will get better and better for you. And of course, others will probably have the same impression. So action is what you've got to aim for. Aim for action. Do something. I want you to do the masterclass with me starting on Monday. And you can do it on this page. But in any case, do action. And I'm as a creativity coach, I help you move through the barriers as well as progress quickly towards what you want to achieve in terms of creativity. So that's it. I'm here for you. My next program starts on Monday. On this page, you can go to, it's been here all along, infinitecreativitynow.com. Go there, click on the pink button to go to the page you can see on the screen now, and book up early bird price. Bring a friend or two for $99. That's a special. You get a bonus for watching this particular video, which is all of the about 100 photo analyses without the bit about the masterclass. That's a fourth bonus, which isn't even on this page. So that's it. I'm looking forward to starting on Monday, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the group. If you don't belong already, you can if you're watching this on YouTube. If not, normal activity will more or less resume in the group soon. And well, from tomorrow, actually, I'll put something up tomorrow for a Sunday showcase. And keep contributing to the group. It's wonderful to have you there. I love doing it, and I will see you around somewhere very soon. Thanks for watching, and happy snapping. Bye for now.